Yeah, Coscan. How are you doing, Daz? All right?
Yeah.
Miss me?
Oh,
I've always missed you. Played a big part in my life, haven't you?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was just leaving this place 12 hours ago and now I'm back.
Yes, I'll do. Good as ever.
Staying awake just.
That's what we do on the BBC.
You know, he's having a normal conversation. You don't have to do that. Like, it's just a common practice. You can have a normal conversation with people because you don't like. Doesn't come across.
You need to know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't. I can. To be honest, like, you could have probably seen it. I've seen it.
Alexa, stop.
Well, invite yourself and I just want to check so you can hear the audio and see the vision, and he's not on yet. Right.
Johnny.
Documentation, email, email. The gout's back. Supposed to be for old men.
Too rich of a
So I
life.
like to tell you this day.
Too rich of a lifestyle. Too much meat.
You know,
Red wine.
I mentioned on air this
Red
morning
wine.
about
We'll be able to see in a minute when he can't get up.
Euro 2028 being in the UK. And then I mentioned about Euro 96. Do you remember? Wembley behind the goal, yeah. And then I thought, well, that's at least 27 years I've known you.
Zoom, it has to update. I wouldn't want that. It
Have to update.
You can decide quick. Have you received the email? Because he's not responded yet. Mind you, might not be coming on until late, like it's arranged. Download the email, because the emails can download everything.
Just ask him to log on.
Still got no response.
He's going to do it now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And the system sends the email, so I don't even have a copy to see if it's gone properly. Check them now, it's working and it's not coming on straight away. What's the response? Oh, I just get you off of that paper, but yeah.
White that paper.
Yeah.
Red and white in it. Red and white makes pink, and I like that. Like that.
So why are you going to lean forward maximum, Andy?
Maximum, I'd probably say about there. If I do.
Going to move your chair like a few inches back.
You alright?
Right, there he is.
We have it.
Perfect. Can you hear us, Si?
Yeah, I got you.
Brilliant.
You alright, Si?
I'm all right, mate. All good. Look at you in your posh studio.
Trying to emulate you, Anna.
Yeah, mate.
Have you cheered up
Been busy day today.
from Tuesday yet?
Yeah, man. Whatever you need.
I can have a bit of fun now,
Whatever.
can't I? Because it never happens like this.
Let me get this flag in by you.
You won your South Wales derby though, didn't you? So you can have your last laugh.
So, can you just talk with me? We're just going to set the full back volume.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
My name's Si. I'm great.
That's fine. Yeah. Who told you that? Becky.
Nah, you're joking, and you, mate? Jesus. Of all the people to tell me I'm great, she's probably the last. She's got to keep me on my toes, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just going to go on. We're going to start with obviously the game on Saturday for us. We played Watford, obviously, and then we'll.
Yeah, man. Just
Is that right?
whenever you need me.
Talk, Andy. Tell us what you had for breakfast, mate.
What I had for breakfast, Darren? What I had for breakfast? I didn't have any breakfast today. I skipped breakfast and I went straight for dinner. Yeah, I don't have breakfast in the morning, so.
Yes,
What'd you
porridge.
do for breakfast?
I had porridge at work once I left here.
Did you?
Yeah.
Skipped it.
Right. And again, what's more, Caroline?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All okay? Can you hear
In
me?
there.
Coming in.
Camera one as well. One more time, Caroline.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are we receiving? Over and out.
Coming at the 10 there, wasn't she?
Yeah, I was.
What did you do once?
Working full meter. Just do that. So they're slightly down. Cool. Are you operating the masters? Yeah. Right, I'll get out of here. If I don't, I'll make a noise and you'll be calling me worse than Mug.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Cam's RedArmy. What a week. We've had that good of a week. We've decided to emulate and copy exactly what we did last week.
We have to, don't we?
Same
Superstition.
guest,
Superstition.
and hopefully we can carry on another fantastic week ahead. But like we did last week, we had Caroline as a guest, so welcome again, Caroline.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you. Listen, I think we've got to start right at the beginning. I think we spoke heavily last week about what we would take, how we would want things to pan out in the next 5 games, in the next month, and before Christmas, etc. in the short term. But could we imagine how well the week's gone?
Absolutely not. I mean, we both said we'd be absolutely delighted with a point at Watford.
Yeah.
And to get all 3 points, and the manner in which we got all 3 points, you know, it was that character back again that we've been lacking a little bit this season. Yeah. 3 goals, Riley McGree, what can we say about him?
Just touching on what you just said there about character and about, I think, about desire, and that's one thing that I've probably questioned this season. I think we've questioned, well, I've certainly questioned leaders, characters, players stepping up on the big game, and the big players stepping up right at the right time. And I think Young Josh getting his first goal of the season, Riley stepping up as a starter, scoring the goals, the high expectations that we've got, scoring the first goal of the season, so in the league, especially getting the first, apart from the first start
But
goal,
yeah,
wasn't it?
no, absolutely.
I
They
think
showed
there's so
the
many
right
boxes
attitude.
ticked. Yeah, so many boxes ticked, but I think when you go 1-0 up away from home at a Watford or at a team who's got a good pedigree in the Championship or the Premier League like they have, to go 2-0 up in the first 10 or 12 minutes, surely that helps, Caroline, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, absolutely. But then, of course, we do what Boro always do and make it very, very difficult for themselves and, concede 2 goals. We should have maybe shut up shop for a little while, just let things settle when we were 2-0 up. But then, it all came right in the end. But yeah, it must have given them a boost of confidence because we have struggled in front of goal, to be fair, this season. If we'd have converted some of the chances we'd created, we'd possibly have a lot more points than we've got. So,
Totally.
attitude was dead right.
Yeah, and I think it's so important that we understand where we've been and where we want to go to. And we're in transition. We're still not going to get carried away. This is a really good period, really good opportunity for the players to build the confidence. We spoke last time. I know me and Dave spoke about it heavily about international breaks coming at the right time. We've got one coming up very shortly, which for me, right this minute, it's the wrong time. We're starting to play well.
We've got the momentum, haven't we? Yeah.
I think it's a real disaster of timing for me. We've got a huge game at the weekend, which I know we're going to discuss in more detail later on. But just looking at the game in more detail, we got dominated in areas. We got dominated in shots on goal, dominated in possession, which isn't like a Middlesbrough team
No, it's
this
not
season
like
under
Middlesbrough at
Michael.
all.
So how do you think we got where we got and the result that we got?
I just think it was down to character and attitude. I just think we never gave up. Even, if you're 2-0 up, that's fantastic. But if you get it back to 2-2, that must have been a sickener for them after such a great start.
On that, Caroline, would you have took a point at that moment?
I certainly would have done at that moment, no doubt about it. But they weren't going to settle for a point, were they? And they were. But it could have swung either way. It was one of those games that really could have gone either way. But then, they just played. They played well. They got the character going, and they got that winning goal. And I think after that, they were never going to let it go.
And I think I know I've got a couple of Watford friends. I've done a couple of podcasts for a couple of friends of mine, and one in particular. It was quite an even game, and I know how disappointed he was in terms of, he said he dominated the game. I wouldn't say they dominated the game. They had a couple of decent chances. They had a little bit more possession than us. They had some more passes than us, but that's not the way that we normally play. We soaked up a little bit more pressure than I would have liked, and I think that's because we had that much of a good start. We were dominating the game early doors. That then we sat back a little bit.
We almost took our foot off the pedal for a little bit.
We give a soft goal away, and then second half we were cannon fodder a little bit for long periods. And if you play like that, you've got to be stable in certain areas. Unfortunately, we give the second goal away, but then all of a sudden we put the foot back on the gas again, and we started creating chances. We started to look dangerous, and you spoke there about the first 2 goals from Riley McGree. I thought Johnny Howson's assist for
it was fantastic, and Matt Crooks as well. Matty Crooks,
he's done great, and
assist,
we've been quite critical of people assisting and putting a lot of pressure on Riley. But if Riley's going to score the goal, someone's got to put the ball in certain areas.
Somebody's got to be there. He led by example.
Matty
Riley
put his ball through to Josh Coburn for the 3rd goal.
It was beautiful. Yes,
and then
absolutely.
the composure he showed as well, Caroline.
Yeah, for a kid.
Yeah,
we
spoke
for
about
such a young kid.
The pressure on young players. I know we're going to discuss Latte Lath in a little bit more detail after what he did on Tuesday night, but I think for young Josh to come and build his own confidence and have his own reputation built by the composure he's shown, the way that he finished in a big stage, on a big occasion, in a big game, under a lot of pressure.
Absolutely.
Because they would probably be looking at the subs bench at that moment, the 60-minute mark.
To try and change it a little bit,
try and get a fresh approach, because he's put a big shift in.
And for Josh as well, I mean, he had a disruptive pre-season, really, because he was, for all intents and purposes, going to be a Plymouth Argyle player this season. And then all of a sudden he wasn't. He was a Middlesbrough player, and it's his hometown club. He's one of our own, as they sing to him, and that must have made it more difficult for him, I think, as well. And then to come in and start to cement his place and score his first goal was great.
I think you just touched on something there. As a player, it's the uncertainty. Where you think your future is going to lie, and where it does lie is a double-sided argument, really. And he'd have wanted to stay deep down.
I'm sure he would.
He's a local boy in the local area. He'd have wanted to play for the club because they've given him a good opportunity. but at the same time, as a boy, he wants to play, and if he can go and get some more minutes somewhere else and get game time somewhere else, then he'll want to do that. But getting regular game time now and starting games and making his own reputation and making that position his own, because there's certain areas now that I'm noticing that Michael seems to be quite consistent with, and hopefully Josh is one of those. And if Josh can pinpoint the 9 spot as his own, I think the future could be bright for him. And I think if he can have a solid season, I think he will come out at times, because I think the games will come thick and fast. And he might get burned out if he does too much. But like I say, we have got players to fill that void for game after game if we need to.
And he is a bit of an old-fashioned number 9 as well. He can hold the ball up. Yeah. He's got that bit of strength. He probably needs to bulk up a bit more, but then he's only a kid. Yeah. But he's got some creativity around him, and we have got some choices there now. Yeah, totally. And if they can start to come good, and not only the Howsons and the Crookses, but the Rogers, the Latte Laughs, the Silveras, you know, putting in the assists for him, then he could have a very good season.
I think you just mentioned something there about how versatile and how we can change and adapt things. You know, because all those players that you just mentioned are all different in their ways of attacking. You know what I mean? We've got people who can hold the ball up. We've got people who can run behind. We've got people who are skillful at dribbling at people. Yeah. We've got players who can be direct. We've got players who can set things up, skillful. I think we've got a good mix of players that we can mix it up. But I think Michael does like his consistency when things are working. And currently, if things aren't broken, don't fix them. And I think that's the mentality that he looks like he's got, especially since Sheffield Wednesday second half, and then obviously we've not looked back since that game.
No, absolutely.
So it's been really good, and I just hope it continues. Everybody, please get your messages, please get your comments in, and we'll go through as many as we can. We have got a special guest coming on the show very shortly, someone I know really, really well. Evening, Stuart. But Caroline, before we get our special guest on, I'd like to touch on, obviously, we've got 3 points at Watford, which I don't think any Middlesbrough fan really was expecting to get 3. We all wanted 3, obviously. We all wanted a positive response and a continuation of what's been happening. But Cardiff at home, not notoriously a game that we look forward to at times. You know what I mean? Our record hasn't been fantastic over the number of years, recent years especially. What was your thoughts going into the game? What was your thoughts about the game? What was your thoughts about the result?
Well, obviously I was hoping for a win, but you know, Cardiff haven't had a bad start to the season. Certainly a better one than we'd had. So although I was hoping for a win, again, I would, particularly with winning at Watford and getting 3 points there, I would have been fairly content with a draw. I thought it was a game of 2 halves. Yeah. I mean, I thought in the first half, as well as boring the crowd to death, I think they were trying to bore Cardiff into submission as well, because it was pretty dire stuff. Yeah. And then, like Middlesbrough seem to do quite regularly, actually, they came out second half a different team. Yeah. I thought they played pretty well. And then his changes, his substitutions, I think were what worked as well. I mean, like we talked about Latte Laugh a minute or 2 ago. I mean, his turn of pace, his speed.
For that goal,
but he's got that speed that scares defenders to death. Yeah. And if he can keep his finishing going, which he had some problems with when he had his last run in the team earlier in the season, he's going to be a great addition, whether he's an impact sub or whether, you know, he gets his games from the start as well. I thought that was great.
I totally agree. I'm just going to touch on a couple of things you said there. I thought the first half, I thought they came with a game plan, quite a negative game plan, and I think we didn't really adapt to the way that we
really
wanted to play.
Struggled.
And I think they killed any momentum that we were trying to put in. I thought their shape, I thought they were excellent in terms of what they came to do.
Oh, absolutely.
I think second half, half time came at a good time for us. We couldn't break them down. We ran out of ideas. But second half we came back with a bit of an impetus, with some freshness, some really good ideas. Apart from when Cardiff probably could have and probably should have scored just before we scored, hitting the crossbar, the post, right in the corner. But goals, moments, big things change games. They missed a good one-on-one. They caused us a few problems, but once we got the goal, we dominated possession.
Yeah, I think there was only ever going to be one winner once we got the goal.
I think once that first goal went in, and we talk about the first goal being vital, you know what I mean? Because when we go behind, it's a mountain to climb, and it looked like a mountain to climb for Cardiff, which was pleasing to see. An opposition struggling once we got there, because that second goal was coming. They were taking risks, we were leaving gaps in behind, and I think for that last goal, it just showed when you've got somebody who's got fresh legs, who's got pace, power, who can run direct, and who can absolutely blow people away with his power and his finishing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It was absolutely fantastic to see.
It was lovely to see Izzy score though, because he's another player who needs he's a confidence player. He's
Yeah.
obviously a confidence player. We know last season he had his problems.
Yeah.
But it seems as though he's really starting to get back to. He's not quite there yet.
Caroline, does he do that enough though? Because
No, absolutely
I'm
not.
talking about a
Yeah.
left winger, left back cutting in. Does he drive into the box enough to get goals?
No way. And he
stands
was there. He's in the right
too
place
far
at the
out.
right client. Yeah, he does.
To get more goals, he needs
Yeah.
to get himself in the box. You know what I mean? Because he found himself in a perfect area
Yeah.
for someone to find him.
He's not just a creator.
No.
He should be a
He's
scorer
got to be.
as well.
He's got to be adding these
Yeah.
things to his game. You know what I mean? More assists, more goals. His stats, his data need to be better.
Yeah.
And if you can bring more goals to his game and set targets, 5 goals, 7 goals, 10 goals for a wide player, it's a great return, and he'll get a reputation
Hopefully it'll
for
be a
that.
learning curve for him this season, and he'll just get better and better.
It'll give him confidence,
Yeah.
which was nice to see. Evening Stuart, evening Mohammed, David. David comes with a comment: is it worth playing Josh up top and Lath as a number 10 role?
Definitely,
Yeah,
particularly with his pace.
I think we'd like
I'd
to
love
see it,
to
wouldn't
say
we?
that. Yes,
I think. But
very much
what
like
I don't
to
want us
see
to
that.
do, I don't want us to be too gung ho that it leaves us a bit more
Places at the
susceptible
back,
You
no.
know, I think Michael's quite consistent with his philosophies and his formations and things. Evening, Michael. Right, so we've had a Middlesbrough point of view from the Middlesbrough Cardiff game. We've got a good friend of mine who I did a long show during lockdown and beyond with Simon Willis, who runs Ace Podcast Nation in Cardiff. Big Cardiff fan, goes to lots of games. Evening, Si.
How are you, my friend? You good?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming on, first and foremost.
That's all right, mate. It's always a pleasure.
Si, what was your thoughts on the game? Obviously, Cardiff have had a really good start to the season. Recently, they've been outstanding, I think. What was your thoughts going up to the game? What was your thoughts during the game and obviously the result after?
So I felt like coming into the game, I thought it was a really dangerous game for Cardiff because Middlesbrough were starting to get a bit of a rejuvenation going. And against Rotherham on Saturday for Cardiff, I felt like we were a bit sluggish. Obviously, they've changed the shape slightly with Ramsey being injured. And, you know, you can kind of pick and choose at tactics and things like this and say what you think is good and bad. But ultimately, I think Cardiff are having a very good season. They're doing much better than people thought they were going to. And I think the manager so far has made a really big improvement to the squad, but just how we play in terms of how comfortable the players are with the football. That some of these players over the last couple of years have looked very short of confidence, shall we say. So to see them playing so well has been, you know, encouraging, shall we say. But I felt like the Middlesbrough game was dangerous, and it proved to be so. I thought Cardiff looked a bit sluggish and lacked a bit of creativity, but I was impressed with Middlesbrough. I really like, is it Greenwood, the lad who plays it like in the number 10 position?
Yeah. So just touching on that, I think I agree. I think that was the first time that really had been given a good opportunity to start. I think that the managers obviously move things around and change things around, but it also makes us become dangerous, doesn't it? You talked there about you saw Middlesbrough as a dangerous game, you know, coming off the back of the South Wales derby, coming off the back of good results, you know what I mean, beating obviously Rotherham at the weekend 2-0, and sometimes when you're playing against lesser teams, you don't have to raise your standards as much as when you're playing a top team. And I don't think Middlesbrough yet are a top team, but I think we've got top players, and when those players gel, which I think they probably did on Tuesday, and especially in the second half, I think we blew Cardiff away in that moment. You know, I think first half I thought the manager, which I think is doing a fantastic job at Cardiff, and getting the best out of those players like you're talking about. I think second half he got tactically ruined by a young, hungry manager, and he didn't have an answer and he didn't have a plan B. And in the end, I think he got blown away.
Yeah, I think that was the frustrating thing, is because so often this season the manager tactically has had an answer and his plan B has quite often worked, and it felt like we kind of set up shop to be difficult to break down, and and work on the break. But then when that first goal went in, I felt like we didn't have any sort of, or anywhere near the level of creativity needed to get a goal away from home. But look, it is fine margins, isn't it? You know, Tanner hits the post. I think it was 0-0 at that point, and a couple of inches and stuff like that. And it's a different game, because Middlesbrough have had a difficult start to the season, and if they go one behind with half hour to go, it may be.
Sorry to put in there, Si. You talked about Tanner there, and you talked about the way that he cut in there. That for me looks like quite a little repertoire he's got, because obviously he did it in the South Wales derby, got a brilliant goal, and he's doing it then. He looks a very dangerous player. You know what I mean? And I'd like to think that clubs are aware of that. And when he did that against Middlesbrough, it just looked like a carbon copy of what he did in the South Wales derby. And I've seen other games where he's tried to do that, try and make things happen. Is that something that do clubs been working at?
Yeah, he did it on. He did it again. He's doing it in the second half against Rotherham on Saturday. He just did it so many times. He just stays high and wide and cuts in. And obviously, teams will find that, they'll find you out. You've got to have more than one string to your bow. My worry, as you well know, mate, as an ex-Cardiff player yourself, or ex-legend, or not ex-legend, still a legend, is my worry is that Mark McGuinness at the back and Tanner on the wing, young quality players who have got a bit of growing to do, but as they keep developing, my worry is that other clubs will see that, and come the summer they will come and knock in. And unfortunately, Cardiff have got a habit of selling those kind of young talented players, so I hope that's not the case, but it's certainly a worry for me.
Yeah. So what I want to do, I'd like to pick your brains on the Championship as a whole. Obviously that game's been and gone. Obviously, we'll get an opportunity. Well, you'll get an opportunity. Cardiff will get an opportunity to pay back, which I'm really looking forward to going down. I'll be at the game myself. But what's your thoughts on the Championship as a whole? Is it better than last season? Is it better than you thought it was going to be? Is it worse than you got to be? Obviously, the Leicester look like they're blowing teams out the water. What's your thoughts on the season as a whole?
I've been really impressed with the overall standard. I've been a little bit surprised by some of the teams which are excelling and some of the teams which have struggled a little bit. But I don't know why I'm surprised, because it's every year. This league is such a strange league where literally any team can beat any team. But to see, Boro struggling at the start of the season, the Jacks have obviously been struggling. Blackburn, Middlesbrough were right up there last year and they've been struggling to start. And then you've got Preston flying, Ipswich. I think, to be honest with you, of all the teams I've watched Cardiff, I think Ipswich have been the most impressive team I've seen Cardiff play. So impressed with them, and obviously we played Leeds, we played Leicester. It's it's a weird one because it's just such a strange league, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's my worry. I think Ipswich are the team that worry me the most. Obviously we've got Sunderland at the weekend, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper on that. The Sunderland game becomes a different game because of where we're both situated in terms of geography. I wasn't surprised in how things have started. We notoriously don't start very well, Caroline, do we?
We don't absolutely
in
not.
The league. But like you just mentioned, Preston. Preston go and get beat 4-0 at the weekend, 3-0 midweek, and all of a sudden their season looks like it's going downhill already. So it's like you have a bad week and it can knock you back, or it can. You look at Middlesbrough, they can 4 games on the belt and 4 wins, 5 games unbeaten. The whole season looks rosy again.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Cardiff. They had at the start of the season, we drew with Leeds, last minute goal. We lost to Leicester, last minute goal. They could have been very different games. But then coming out of the international break, we had Swansea straight away. Obviously a big win there. And Cardiff then went on a run of 4 wins on the bounce. Takes you right up the league. I think at one point we were sort of 4th, and then obviously games got played and we dropped down to sort of 6th, 7th, 8th. It's important now for Cardiff to finish before this international break. They got Watford on the weekend to push on, because if they can beat Watford on Saturday, I think if you look at it from international break to international break, they've picked up probably more points than they expected. They've right up the sort of the better half of the league to be, and I think you've got to take confidence from that. I still think we lack probably 1 or 2 players to really kick on and challenge, but the last few seasons, as you know, mate, we've been battling relegation. So to at least feel confident that probably won't be the case this year is a nice change, should we say? No,
totally get it, mate. Totally get it. Si, really, thanks for coming on. It's been great. I'm hoping for Middlesbrough win the Championship and Cardiff finish 2nd, and then my dream season is materialised and get us both in the Premier League. But I'm a realist. That won't happen, 100%. But we can always dream, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a pleasure to join you, mate. I think I reckon Boro will be up there, mate, come the end of the season.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But nice to talk to you. Thanks very much for coming on.
Always a pleasure, mate. Take care.
Mate. Thanks. Caroline, it's interesting, isn't it, to listen to a fellow fellow supporter in the Championship from a side who's started doing really well in terms of in comparison to where we are now, and obviously we beat them at the weekend. That to see different players as threats, as which I like, you know what I mean, because we see our favourite players, don't we? Our favourite players are Ryan McGree's, and it's interesting how people see Greenwoods, and people will probably look at their name, and then the Ryan McGree's come just sliding in behind and on the low down a little bit, which I like, you know what I mean. I think that's where Akpom came, you know what I mean, until he got his numbers up. I think it's nice if we can just keep doing that and keep these kind of players on the low down, that we can become more of a threat.
Oh, definitely, yes. And Si mentioned Sam Greenwood there, and I think he was probably my player of the match.
Yeah, was he?
I thought he had because it was his first full game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I thought he played exceptionally well.
Yeah, I thought he was positive. I thought
he was.
He tried to make
first
things
half, he
happen.
was the only one that was trying to make things happen, and nearly did. No, so I was really impressed with him.
And I've got to make a point as well on Engel as well, because
oh yeah, absolutely.
Much better, miles better, really good solid performance. I'm really hoping that he's going to be fit for the weekend, because obviously we've got some really bad news on O'Brien that he's going to miss a big chunk now of the season, which speedy recovery. Hope you get well soon, get your injury sorted out and get back on that pitch as soon as possible, because it's never nice to see anybody get an injury, but when it gets to see
and it was so innocuous, and it's a fracture, isn't it, of his tibia and some damage on his ankle. I mean, they're talking about 2 to 3 months, but sounds to me as though it might be a little bit longer than that.
Hopefully.
It's a real shame, because he was
coming to play as well, and he's been the one out of the loan players who's come in
he's really done well.
And he's been quite versatile as well.
Yeah.
He's played midfield, he's played fullback, and he's been a real stalwart in terms of what Michael's wanted and brought in. So hopefully speedy recovery. We looked at the 5 games, didn't we? We looked at the next 5 games from the Bradford. So we had Bradford, Watford, Cardiff. We've obviously got Sunderland and Birmingham next. We said we would have been happy with going through in the cup. We would have been happy to 6, 7, 9 points. We've already got 6, Caroline.
We've already got 6.
Yeah, we've got 6 out of those. We've 2 games to go. Obviously, the weekend brings its different game totally. I think
it's a heart game, not a head game, isn't it? It's emotional.
You've got to put it into isolation. I think if you get too emotionally involved in it, it becomes very dangerous. It also becomes very dangerous for Sunderland as well. You know what I mean? So this isn't just one-sided. This is a game where, as a young Middlesbrough fan, as a young ex-Middlesbrough player, you're trained to hate another rival team, and you know what I mean. When every time you played against them, you knew exactly what you needed to do in order to win a game of football. And you know what I mean. We have got a good history against them. If we've gone to Roker Park, we've had some decent results. We were talking earlier on about Emerson's goal. If anybody remember Emerson's goal at the Stadium, I like when it came back and he smashed it first time with the Boro fans behind the goal. It was. I stood behind that goal, and it was just wow. I was sat on the bench, and I think when he hit it, if it had gone in the crowd, it would have really hurt someone.
It would, but it went in the back of
the net. It reminded me a little bit of the goal he scored at Hillsborough in the semi-final as well against Chesterfield. We just came back and he used to hit it outside
goals,
of his
didn't he,
foot.
Emerson?
I think Sunderland will be going into that game.
They must be high on confidence.
Yeah, I think everybody is. I think everyone's got to be confident. You know, I mean, the early kickoff. I'm hoping it's not a replay of last season's game. Obviously, Dale got sent off, and it was a very, very long afternoon or morning, because it was an early kickoff again. But we just need to make sure that we have a continuation. I do think it's a free one, but free ones can be dangerous unless you hit it with the right mentality. And I think you spoke earlier on about having the right desire. You know what I mean? The players won't need to have the right desire.
They shouldn't need to get up for that one.
This will be the biggest game of the season in terms of crowd expectations from Sunderland. I know a lot of Sunderland fans. I work with one at work, and he's nervous, he's worried, and I think they have every right to, because I think they see now Middlesbrough as a threat. You know what I mean? They're coming up. You know what I mean? Look at the league table now from where we were. You know, we won the last
5 points off Leeds, who are in 6th place.
Yeah, which is madness. You know that their last 5 games have won 4. We've won 4. So.
It's intriguing.
It's
probably be a big letdown, a 0-0 draw, which we'll be happy with.
By the way, and I think Sunderland would as well, though, because I think they probably would. I think the bigger picture, if you can stay unbeaten, when you win in midweek and then you've got a weekend game, if you can pick 4 points from a week in a midweek and a Saturday game, you're absolutely delighted.
Oh, you do, absolutely.
If you can pick 7 points, or you could pick 9, would be an absolute dream. It would be absolutely amazing if we could do that. But let's see. You know,
It's a
you know what I
game
mean?
that the fans
it a
get
go.
more invested in, don't they? Because it's a local game, because it's a local derby.
Yeah.
You know, you want bragging rights, really, don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, you're brought up to hate the opposite. You know, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I turned off the Newcastle game at half time last night because I couldn't bear to watch them doing so well, and that's awful. But yeah, the fans will be so emotionally invested. Well, we all will be on Saturday.
And just on that note, you know, I mean, that's not me being really negative. You know, we just brought up to not like other teams. Like loads of people don't like Middlesbrough, loads of people don't like Sunderland.
Absolutely,
You know.
it's just.
I refused to watch Newcastle last night because it's not in my blood to watch a team. I love football. I would rather watch somebody else than watch them.
Newcastle,
you know, because it's just, if Middlesbrough are on, they're always my team. You know what I mean? I'd rather watch Cardiff than I wouldn't watch a rival team. Basically,
Yeah.
you know, I like teams to do well, but when it's Middlesbrough playing them, they've got to win.
Absolutely,
you have to win.
yeah.
It has to happen. Stuart, evening Si. Obviously, Si was on. Great to get one over on you lot. It was a great result. Stuart, great to get 3 points against Cardiff. We haven't had a good reputation, a good time against them previously in previous years, but hopefully now this might be an opportunity for us to kick on and beat them next time we play them as well. Stuart also goes on to say we need to get these Mackhams right from the off. Is that key?
I think so. Get in among them. Don't let them settle down. Don't let them play their football. Make them worry about us. Don't worry about what they're doing. And we've got the players to do that. I think there's no doubt about it. We've got the players to do that.
How important is the first goal in, Caroline?
Vital, I think. Vital.
For both teams?
Yeah. If we score it, it'll quieten the crowd down for a start. And they're going to have to come out at us even more. And that'll give us a chance to get on the counter. You know, like we did Cardiff for the second goal. If they get it, then I think it'll be a real uphill struggle because the crowd will be up. I know there'll be Boro fans there, but you know there'll be 40-something thousand. It'll be like a cauldron of Sunderland fans. So I think it's absolutely vital.
I absolutely agree. I think they're going to come at us right from the start. I think we need to hold firm for the first 5, 6, 10 minutes. We need to be stubborn. If we can nick something in that time, fantastic. But if we hold out for as long as we possibly can, the fans will get frustrated. We'll start coming into our game. We'll create problems because we've got a really good side. We've got creativity. We've got players. We've got threats from all over. I think it is time that we kept a clean sheet. I'll be honest. You know, I think if we can keep a clean sheet and be solid in this kind of game, I think we'll nick it. You know what I mean? I think there's an opportunity for us to nick it. I think we'll always score. But the way that we play, we'll always score. But the way that we play, we will always
concede as well.
So I think that's the way that we do it. But if we can just, in the big games, if you want to be successful, if you want to get promoted, if you want to achieve playoffs, these are the kind of games that you throw your body on the line. You know, Dale Fry knows exactly what being a Middlesbrough fan in this kind of cauldron, in this kind of atmosphere,
he'll know what
is
he's
all
got
about.
to do. Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to Dale's performance against Sunderland last year when we beat them 1-0 at home. He was just, I think it's the best performance I've ever seen him play. He was immense. He was leading as a young player still. I know he's mid-20s, but he's still a young player.
Still a young.
He's a local boy. He was Rolls Royce. He was great on the ball. He was throwing his body in. You know what I mean? Obviously, Clark made his debut that game, and you know, apart from one opportunity, I thought defensively we were solid. We were sound. Not so much Dale's for the away game when he obviously got a red card.
Sent off, yeah.
Obviously
I think he'll be the
caused a lot of
same.
problems
He'll be the same on Saturday,
Yeah.
though. You know, it'll mean him and Josh, the local lads.
Yeah.
It'll mean just that little bit more to them because they'll have been brought up in the same way with the same rivalries, and I think that'll make it. I mean, if Josh, if he plays, you know, we presume he'll play a part in the game. You know, for him to score a goal at the Stadium and Light will just be a dream come true for him. I'm quite sure.
Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah. And I listen to like I'm going back to 1997 was my first ever goal for Middlesbrough against Sunderland, a Coca-Cola Cup at the Riverside, and sell out. Yeah, you couldn't hear yourself think. And those kind of moments, they live with you. You know what I mean? The hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and it's just being a Middlesbrough fan as a Middlesbrough player, and in that atmosphere, in that moment. Those moments stay with you forever, and right in here, and you remember them even more so because you love the club, and yes, it's only 3 points, yes, it's only one game, yes, it's a cup game, you want to go through the next round, but it's more than that. As a Middlesbrough fan against Sunderland, against Newcastle, against the local rivals, it means much more. Fans are always up for it. You know, fans are desperate for tickets now. You know, I mean, probably not more so now than they were 10 days ago. That thinking it was going to be a bit of a dead game.
Now that we're doing so well.
Now the expectations high. Everyone's buzzing about the place. The games can come quick enough. You know, we we were talking last week about international breaks coming at the right time. You know, we've got one coming up after the Birmingham game. It's such the wrong time for me at the minute. It's going to be it's bad timing for that. We need the continuation. We're playing well.
Yeah, we've got the
playing with
momentum.
confidence.
We want to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just touching on the Sunderland game then, Caroline, what's your thoughts? What would you accept? We want us to win, but what does your head say? What does your heart say?
My head says it'll be a 1-1. My heart says we're just going to go out there, blow them away at 3-0. That won't happen either, but I'll come back and sit here next Thursday if it did and say I told you so.
I'd like to think it would.
Yeah, so would I. But I think Sunderland will actually score.
Yeah, so do I. I think it'll be a game with goals in it.
Yeah.
I think they've got goals in them, but so have we. I think it'll be a tight affair. I think there'll be guts and thunder. I think there'll be a few yellow cards. I think there might even be a red card here.
Got to keep them disciplined. That's
so I think
absolutely vital.
It's key that we keep 11 players on the pitch.
Yeah, you can't play with 10. Yeah.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for the Boro. I think we've got a really, really good opportunity to use this as a free game, but silence the crowd early doors, stay in the game, upset the players. The Tony Mowbray factor is a big factor. They're bought into him. Tony's a legend, hero of mine, even still to this day, even though he's Sunderland manager. Pains me to say. Really nice man, good friend of mine, but I want us to beat him because he's their manager, because I want to beat Black Cats. I want everything to be such uncomfortable for him, and his first game at the Riverside, he hated it. You know what I mean? Speaking to him, he didn't like those kind of moments that he comes back to the Riverside and losing against his hometown club that he's played for, club that he's managed, and I'm hoping that hits him again. But
yeah, let's hope he doesn't have a decent Saturday night celebration.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. So moving forward, obviously only one game at a time, but obviously we've got before the international break, Caroline, we've obviously got Birmingham as well. Obviously the following weekend on the 21st. Obviously get that game out of the way first. Obviously we can look at that game as well next week. But with that game coming up as well before the international break, how important is the game before the international break, especially when you're doing well?
Oh, I think it's vital that you get a win, or a draw, or a decent performance. Yeah, to have the best part of 2 weeks thinking we were awful. Yeah. What have we got to do? Let's work on it. You could tell me better than I can say. Training must be so much more fun when you've won, when you're doing well, when you're on a roll. But to have all that time with no games, because usually you've got games coming so quickly in the Championship, you've got time to put it right if things go wrong.
It doesn't feel like a punishment. I think that a lot of times when I've been involved at club when we've got international breaks, training seems like a punishment when you're not doing very well, because you do a lot of fitness work, you do a lot of things where it doesn't seem fun. Whereas when you're winning games and you're a lot more confident, it doesn't seem hard work. It doesn't seem like a slog. So it's mentally, but I just hope that we get through Saturday. We then have a good week's recovery, training, build up for Birmingham, because Birmingham aren't doing very well. They've had a poor start. They don't normally travel well as well. No,
it's a game you would.
Yeah, they've got players who can hurt us.
You'd put your money on us winning, but you would also say that's a bit of a banana skin for us.
With a couple of Middlesbrough players as well in their ranks, that they've hurt us at times when they probably. We probably expected to win, you know what I mean? So there can be it can be a bit like a banana skin in terms. But we touched on there about international breaks, about them being important. We've obviously got some players who will go here, there and everywhere and go away, you know. So obviously England are playing Australia. So
so Riley should.
I'd like to think that Riley would be a shoo-in starter.
I would have thought so. I mean, he's on great form. Yeah. He's in England anyway. Yeah. Surely to goodness he'll get a start. Yeah. And it'll be really interesting to see how he fares against England, world-class players. Well, some world-class players, yeah. I was a little bit shocked by some of the players that were chosen
so was I,
by Gareth today, to be perfectly honest.
On that point, how important for the club is it for Riley to be selected and play in that kind of fixture?
Oh, I think it's really important. It's important for him, for his confidence. I mean, I can imagine that every player wants to represent their country. And obviously, as long as he doesn't get injured, it'll be great for him to hopefully keep his momentum going with a good performance. You wouldn't expect Australia to beat England, but I think they'll give them a pretty tough game.
I think prestige for the club as well, Caroline.
Of course it is,
It's great to see on the biggest stage your players platforming themselves against should be the world's best, but well, one of the world's best teams. You know what I mean? Not players, but at the minute with probably the squad that's been selected, but teams, and to pit the wits up against them. And hopefully that it does work out the way he is, and he gets that opportunity to excel and show how he's done. But I think get Saturday out the way first, then have a good solid week, go into the Birmingham game, and then obviously players can flit here, there, and everywhere, and we can then focus on the run up to Christmas. I think, which I think is going to be really important.
Yes, and let's hope that we don't do a usual Middlesbrough and go down with the decorations. I think we've got past that now with a bit of luck, but that always used to be the old saying, the Boro and the decorations both go down at Christmas.
Yeah, totally. Caroline, obviously looking at Saturday, team selection, obviously we touched on obviously Lewis O'Brien picking an injury up. Obviously we changed things from Saturday to Wednesday, to midweek, to Tuesday, sorry. What's your thoughts on, or what would you like to see Michael do at the weekend?
I hope Darrell Lenihan's back. I know he's been poorly, hasn't he? It'd be nice to think that he'd be back in defence. No offence to Paddy, but you know he's a proper defender, Darren, and to get him alongside Dale Fry, I think will make a big difference. I'm a little bit torn between Lucas Engel and Alex Bangura, because obviously it looks as though he's back fit again. Or even, you know, get Tommy Smith as in at full back. Ralph Vanderberg, he might be fit again. I'd like to see Stanwood Greenwood start again, definitely. And potentially, as we spoke about a little bit earlier on, you know, we want to go out and frighten Sunderland. Let's have Josh up front and Latte Lath behind him, and just see if his pace can really upset Sunderland. But then we've got to stay solid in the middle. So I think Johnny, if he's back, or Barlaser and Hackney, you know, whoever's in that central bit have got to stay really, really solid, and they've got to protect the back four as well as going forward and helping to create chances.
Yeah, no, totally. I think my heart and my head are telling me two different things of what I'd like to see at the weekend. I'd like to see us go at Sunderland. I think it's a free game. I'd like us to go a little bit gung-ho, but then I think we leave gaps in behind. We could get a little bit of a beating, which I don't think we need.
No, we absolutely don't.
They've got dangerous players. Jack Clark's a really good player. Patrick Roberts, who we know all about.
We know about Patrick.
That's
what worries me a little bit about Lucas Engel.
They've got good players out wide who can cause problems.
He doesn't, well, I say he can't play. We haven't seen a lot of him, but he looks as though he might struggle a bit against pace, and Sunderland have got that.
Yeah, they have. And I think, obviously, I'm guessing it would be Patrick Roberts on the right hand side who can go inside on his left and can go outside on his right as well, which could cause us problems. It caused him problems at Sheffield Wednesday. Engel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've gone for Dieng in goal. I've gone for a back four. I've gone for it, that he's going to keep Paddy alongside Dale. Only because, and my thought process with that is we've won 2 games while he's been there, and out of fairness probably that to keep his place. I thought Engel was better. It was very good, but it's a consistency thing. I thought Tommy Smith deserves to keep his place, but if that's to move to left back and Paddy goes right back and he brings Lennon back in as captain, I'd be quite happy with that as well. I've gone a little bit more negative in the middle, like I normally would. I've gone for Barlaser, Howson, and Hackney. I think 3 proper midfielders together.
I don't think we've played have we played the 3 of them together? No, I didn't think we had.
Start.
No.
To shut up shop, and then for me the 3 attackers to go and fill your boots. Jones, McGree, and Josh, just to go and help yourself. And
well, you've always got the chance then, haven't you? You know, at half time or after 60 minutes, to take one of your more defensive-minded players off, if needs be. You know, and bring on a Latte Lath or a Morgan Rogers or a Sammy Silvera, and you know, cause them some problems in the last half an hour or so, depending on where the game's going.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think my thought process with that is, I think we need to be hard to beat. We need to win battles. We need to have that mentality to win the midfield battle. Part of me thought to put Crooks in there instead of Barlaser, but I like the way that Barlaser keeps the ball. I like the way that when we're under pressure, he can pick a pass out. We can keep the ball.
He absolutely can pick a pass out.
I'm not saying Matt can't. I just think Matt will give us more physicality. He'll win aerial battles. So for me, it's a flip of a coin, and whichever team selection, formation, philosophy Michael goes down, it's the right one. Because in Michael we trust, in Michael we believe that he's doing the right thing. He's not let us down as yet, and I don't think he ever will, in terms of what he's trying to put his ideas across to the club. You know what I mean? He's never been flustered, even when chips were down and we were bottom of the table. He's not getting excited now. We've won 4 on the belt, 5 unbeaten. So I think whatever he goes with at the weekend, his tactics, the players will know exactly what they need to do. They're going into the game really confident. You know what I mean? You've said players coming back. It's funny that all players come back when you're winning games. It's
Yes.
It's just, and
Yes,
I'm not saying
no, I'm
that's a
sure. Yeah, I
coincidence,
can
it's
imagine.
just-
yeah,
it
but
just-
that
it
twinge
happens-
isn't quite so bad when
it happens.
when you're
Injuries
winning.
injuries clean up easier. Players are more less susceptible to injuries. You know what I mean? They're less tired. They can't wait for the next game to come, and it's just there's a bigger buzz about the place. It's just it's really exciting, and I just hope it really really continues. And like you said earlier on, Caroline, about making subs. Michael's made some really important subs.
he has.
He's got his subs absolutely spot on, especially in the last. You can probably go back to Sheffield Wednesday game. He made that really brave. I'll call it a brave sub. He called it a really brave sub. He brought it off a fullback and he put on a winger. That's a big brave call when you're getting beat 1-0. And to change the game around, he's made good subs for the next, or good changes in teams and selection. His subs in midweek and his team selection in midweek was excellent.
And we've got the players now to actually make those substitutions.
Yeah.
Apart from at fullback where we're still struggling a little bit, everywhere else on the pitch, we've got players who can come in and change a game from the bench. And we've never really mentioned him at all, but Sammy Dieng, I think, I've been very, very, very impressed with him. He's got the same mentality that Zach Steffen had, but somehow you don't cover your eyes quite as often when he's got the ball at the back as you did with Zach Steffen.
He doesn't take as many risks.
No, he doesn't. But he still plays out from the back, and he
still got the confidence. I think
still plays the good ball. That's how he wants them to
manager
play.
wants us to play, so he's got to do it. He's got the confidence to do it, which he has, and he did it at QPR. He's learned the hard way at QPR. I'm not being disrespectful when I mean that, but he's been extremely busy as a QPR goalkeeper. So he's earned his stripes being a goalkeeper.
No, I think he's
probably
done
far
well.
too busy. He's been far too busy, in my opinion, as a Middlesbrough goalkeeper. He shouldn't have let as many goals in, but not many have been his fault. I think he's been let down a little bit by protection in front of him. But he's coming out the other side now, and a clean sheet on Tuesday night was massive.
Yeah,
for him.
he's looking like a confident goalkeeper who can play
and I
play
think
with the
if you can
ball
grow
with
on
his
it,
feet.
if we can build on clean sheets, and I go back to the Aitor Karanka style. You know, I don't want to see that style of football, but I mean the clean sheets. When Dimmy was in goal and he was breaking records at clean sheets, we always knew we were going to win football matches. Like last year, I think we knew we were going to win football matches because we could score 3-4. Under Aitor, we knew we were going to win football matches because we were solid, hard to beat, didn't let goals in. So as long as we can get that right formula.
You've got to find the balance, haven't you?
Yeah, it's getting the right formula. We don't want to be boring. We don't want to be. I was saying that when Stuani scored that world class goal at Sunderland as well, when Aitor was there.
Yeah, Christian Stuani.
That was a great one as well. So there's all these things which the memories that you want at I was going to say Walker Park then, Stadium of Light. When you get those kind of moments, we need who's going to be that magic person? Who's going to make the magic happen at the weekend? Are we going to be talking about another Emerson, another Stuani? Is it going to be Riley McGree? Is it going to be Josh Coburn? Is it going to be Dale Fry? Who is it going to be? Who's going to be our hero in? Won't be in red, will it? Because they'll be wearing red and white. But who's going to be our hero on the Boro shirt? I'm excited for it. I can't wait for it. It'll be a huge occasion.
It'll be fantastic. Yeah, it'll be absolutely brilliant. As derbies always are.
They are. And
Heartbreak for the losing team.
Yeah, they
it's
are.
Still only 3 points, but it always feels a lot more than that.
I think when we say that, you know what I mean, it's just only 3 points. It means much more than
that. It means a lot more than that. It means a lot more than that.
It's always the team who loses who says it's just a game. It's just 1 or 3 points. Doesn't matter. There's another one to come.
Yeah, but if you've won, you're dying out on it till the next game.
Next game, yeah, totally do. But thanks everybody for your comments. Been an amazing show especially with our guests. Thanks for coming on. Caroline, thanks again.
Pleasure.
Like I say, we had a good solid week this week. We'll have some more points this week, and if we get more points, please come back on and we can keep on.
Keep on going and going, yeah.
And then on the pitch. But no, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Cheers now. Thanks everybody.